Welcome to EnVision Center News. Today's episode is all about the EnVision Media Center with Sandpoint Marketing CEO Chris Bassett and Executive Director Linnis Jellinek. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the EnVision Center News. It's Thanksgiving week, and I'm sure we could all agree that we have so much to be thankful for. First of all, where we live who we get to do life with.
Good. Yeah.
So today, my guest is Chris Bassett, right here in his studio. So I don't know if this is tables turned or interviewing the master of podcasts. So
I wouldn't put myself in master category, but we're practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell a little bit about how I know you.
Okay.
So you are certainly a multifaceted individual.
Yeah, we do some things.
You're an awesome husband and dad first, and even recently a puppy daddy.
Yeah.
And you're the pastor of a thriving church.
Yeah.
You're the founder of Sandpoint Marketing. And now you've opened the EnVision Media Center.
Yeah.
So to say multifaceted I don't even think it gets there.
Yeah, we do. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. And, part of it is, when I moved here in 2005, just got plugged into the chamber, plugged into community, worked in mortgages, and then felt the call to ministry. And in that process, bought Sandpoint Marketing from a friend of mine. So started a consulting company, was doing that while I was doing ministry. And the whole time also the executive director at the Barna Community Housing Agency for 11 years. So doing a lot of stuff.
So today we're going to focus on the EnVision Media Center.
Okay, perfect.
And which is here to support nonprofits.
Yep.
And I want to take a moment and thank you right up front for all the support you've given us while you've been here. And your marketing experience comes to bear in every project. I can see that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the EnVision Media Center. What is it?
Yeah. So we definitely needed a space, and I was hearing this quite a bit. So I originally built a podcast studio for the show Barna Breakdown, and really focusing on housing needs is how it started. And as that kind of grew its own legs, was really blessed to be able to work out with the housing agency, keeping all the studio equipment when I left the housing agency. And so I was looking for a home for it. And it was right during the process of you setting up here. And I had heard, I would have people come in all the time, like, we'd love to use your studio. We'd love to use your studio for podcasts or shows or learning, like being able to record curriculum and trainings and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, this is actually a great space for that because it's nonprofit centered. Obviously, the cost to use the studio is next to nothing. We charge really literally $25 to use the studio and $15 an hour to do production work for nonprofits. So it just becomes very inexpensive for nonprofits to be able to establish their message. And so the whole goal behind it was to create a space for nonprofits to get their message out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've really helped us do that. Tell me what focus areas are you offering for nonprofits?
So one of the things that nonprofit development and work requires every hat in the book if you're going to run a nonprofit. Because number one, there's often limited supply of resources for most nonprofits. You want to maximize every dollar that you spend. You also want to grow your organization. You want to develop it. So we really have tried to make a way to help nonprofits engage their kind of key demographics, the people that they're going after, whether that's donors or people that they're serving, right? Make sure that we're developing something that they can engage that with. And then whether that's in form of like website, podcast, social media, any of those arenas, we want to help do that. But then we also want to make sure that the people who are running the nonprofits have all the skills that they need and being able to educate the public about what they do and as well to get educated themselves on how they can do it themselves better. Because if you're on a limited budget, you need to know how to do it yourself. And so
yeah.
we want to be able to help people do that. And we really want to make sure that all of the nonprofits feel empowered in the way that they approach fundraising, in the way that they approach serving the needs that they're going after, because that's the whole point of the nonprofit, is that you're giving.
Yeah.
Right? You're there to meet a need. You're there to serve somebody in the nonprofit world. And so we want to make sure people are empowered to do what's in their heart to do as nonprofits.
Yeah. And as a nonprofit leader, we do that in so many ways.
We do.
We engage, we educate to get to that empowerment.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what about pricing? Are there package prices, standalone projects, ongoing consulting?
It's kind of all of the above. So having run nonprofits for a long time, you realize that normally what we need is something to kickstart something or to finish something. A lot of people are great at starting, but getting it over the finish line is difficult. So we're able to come in and help people wherever they're at in their process. Many like small churches is a huge arena that we work with on the marketing side, as well as all different types of nonprofits, where we can help them develop and build a simple informational website with a payment gateway, some real basic things for them. And we do all that, including search engine optimization, all that, for around $700 for the website. And then from start to finish, the whole thing. To make sure that, and we also understand that funds might be limited, so we bill based on their capacity to get that taken care of. So we've got enough room to be able to make it work for the nonprofit. So we really want to develop a relationship where they feel needs can be met, they can pursue the help that they need, whatever that looks like. And as far as like any campaigns, or they want a marketing strategy for projects, or they got a big fundraising campaign, and how do we brand that, and what do we do? Most people will build their boards to add that capacity, right? So when you're a nonprofit and you're building your board, you're like, who's got marketing experience, who's got fundraising experience? You're looking for those people, key players, so that you don't have to hire that out. But we also can help a board put together a project from A to Z and say, from the beginning of the process, these are the steps that you need to take. Here's the strategy. What's the messaging around that's going to be very effective for the demographic you're going after. So we can help people put that stuff together. So we'll do a simple campaign strategy for like $300 just to lay that out there. And if people want to build a brand around their nonprofit, there's lots of different things we can do to help with that too. So.
Wow, that's really reasonable.
Yeah.
So speaking of boards, I've hired you to lead 2 different board retreats coming up in January and February of 2022. One for us here at the EnVision Center for my board, and then also for another organization that I serve on the board of, Idaho Families. So tell me a little bit about what that's going to look like.
Well, usually when we get a big group of people together, we need to assess why we're here. What's the organization there for? We kind of review a little bit about what's the driving factors for why we're doing what we're doing. But really, it's about how do we develop ourselves as leaders to see the vision of what we're here to do come to pass. Almost always, not 100% of the time, but almost always, the biggest disconnect and the biggest gap between the vision and seeing it happen is the leadership of the organization. So if we can develop the leaders to peel back all the things that are preventing them from fully engaging, and that could be 1,000 different things. It's gone a bunch of different directions, and oftentimes the group dynamics can prevent things from moving, whether it's disengaged board members that need to engage or get off the board or that type of stuff. We just uncover kind of what's going on inside of you so that you can figure out what you're going to do. Because once everybody's fully engaged, look out. The board's
Right.
unstoppable. The mission's unstoppable because everybody's fully on board. So there's some different ways to go about that, but it's really going to be a conversation more than just hear this, because I'm there to discover where the gaps are. Because looking at organizations, you're like, wow, it's smooth, it runs great, but there's all this stuff behind the scenes. There can be drama. There can be all types of stuff. So let's just unpack where the sticking parts are. Let's find where the gaps are, because as soon as we can address that hard part in the middle, well, now we're going to have flow, right? I say this a lot. It's part of it is understanding role, which would be one side of a bank of a river, right? Is what role are you playing, and then understanding your role. And then on the other side is what activities do you do? So if you can understand as a board what your role is, and then you know what activities are, now everyone can flow. So imagine like water flow with no banks is a swamp. Nothing moves. But if we can put a bank on both sides for everybody there, now we have movement. Now there's flow in the organization. And so that's part of what we do, is just let's make sure we've got good flow, and anything that's a dam blocking it, let's find out what that is and get it out of the way. Conflict, people tend to go like, I don't want anything to do with that. We do it in a way that's really self-revelatory. So it's not about the people around you. It's really about what's happening for you. It's super fun because you see different boards that I've worked with in the past go from constant block after block after block to all of a sudden everybody's got a different perspective, a little different vision of what's happening, and a realization like, oh, I'm a key to this thing flowing. And you see just huge movement, and a lot of the places that were stopped up get opened up and start flowing, which is great.
Well, I'm really excited because I think I have a pretty amazing board.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what this is going to bring for this next year for us.
It'll be really good. I'm excited as well because there's a big difference between good and great.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Sometimes we don't know why it's not all that it can be. Well, let's find out.
I'm really excited for both of the boards, actually, both of those retreats you're going to do. And then you also do some professional coaching for nonprofit leaders. Is that something you want to expand in that area and do more of? Or?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really about if people are interested in being in relationship in that context. Because coaching is really, it's a mixed bag of what topics, and is it personal? Is it just business? Is it life? And once you start to drill into where the gaps are individually, through some discovery meetings, I like to start there and like, let's just, where are you at? What's going on? And then I try and pay very close attention. And if we can help individuals get a breakthrough in their leadership style in the way that they're approaching issues, it's super fun for me. I love that because people suddenly they feel at home as a leader instead of trying to figure out how to deal with the drama. They feel more at home as a leader. And so a lot of that's super fun for me. I think, yes, I'm always looking to help people. So to me, it's got to be somebody who's really interested in making that a fit. And everybody's different, so I don't have like this formulaic version of it. I mean, there's a clear formula for how I coach, but a lot of that really has to do with the individual, where they're at and where they want to go. Well, so it just depends.
We've had a few sessions that have really helped me, actually. But I think you're right. I think somebody has to want accountability, and because you don't softball me.
No.
So, and I appreciate that, actually.
Yeah.
And because I want to grow, I want to stretch, and I want to go into new territory I haven't been in as a leader, and I also want to kind of hone some skills that I already have. Yeah. But I don't want to get complacent either. Yeah. And that this is a job, and I know how to do it.
Well, and I think if we just take one example from our sessions, if it's all right, I would say, like, for example, we're doing our strategic planning, right? And so here's what I'm doing. And then I'm able to give feedback and say, have you thought about this? Look at it this way. Maybe you present the question this way because you're going to get a whole different set of results. And so there's a lot of that process that you and I have been in to go, okay, how do you set this up so that it's as fruitful for the benefit of the organization as possible? And that's been really fun, to see, because I think you're seeing the fruit of it even in your process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I just wish I had some coaching for doing the budget.
Well, we can get there if you want.
We're working through that. Is there anything else that you want our listeners to know about today? The Media Center. Yeah,
I think for the Media Center, one of the things that we've done is we do have. We will serve small businesses as well. The discounts clearly are going to nonprofits, but we do offer the podcast services as well as the audio recording stuff that we have available. So, for example, we have individuals that will come in and record their audio book here. They'll have different things like that. So it is available for the whole public, but we're really catering it towards the nonprofits as much as possible. And so it's available. It's available, and that's the big thing. It's here to be used.
Well, I see people coming and going.
Yeah, well, and we do a lot of nonprofit podcasts right now, and people who just have an idea, we come and sit down and we lay, okay, well, here's ways it could go. Here's let's hone what's the purpose, what's the objective. So our discovery meeting will be an hour of, which is free. Let's figure out what it is that you want to do with this podcast. Who are you trying to reach? And then how are we going to get it out there? Which we're able to provide all those services as well.
Well, I know for our organization, it's really helped because we've been highlighting our service providers, which is great because then they get a chance to really come and tell their story.
Yep.
And
it's fabulous.
And their stories everyone should know about because they're serving our community.
Yeah. And, it's like you and I had a brief meeting talking about starting something here because I'm like, hey, this stuff's here. You should use it. And within a day, we had it dialed in.
Yeah.
Knew what we were doing and going after it. So it can move quickly when you're ready.
Yeah, and my team's really excited, and they love participating. So we're all
You guys do a great job with your interviews, too. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how can people reach you?
You can email chris@sandpointmarketing.com, and my phone number is 208-290-0305. If I don't answer, just leave a message. Don't not leave a message because that's difficult to know. I don't know if anybody else gets 1,000 spam calls on their phone all day, but so just leave a message or text or whatever, and we'll get connected. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to CRECidaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We will see you again soon.